everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jennifer, and today we are playing with a full face of new makeup. Most of it is brand new to the market. One or two things are just new to me. This is going to include Tom Ford, Patrick Ta, Makeup by Mario, Kosas, and of course, Dior. So if you're interested in seeing that, just stay tuned. Hey everyone, in my intro I said a face full of brand new makeup, and it is. Most of this is brand new to the market. I am, and when I said of course Dior, because there's so much Dior, I'm trying to spread it out a little bit so that we don't all get Diored out. There are two new summer quints. I've already done Riviera. Today I'm going to do Bayadere. I know that's not even close. I'll let us listen to the Google translation pronunciation in a minute, but I will be using that one today. I'll show it to you next to Riviera. But I also have the Kosas Revealer Skin Improving Foundation. So I'll show you that. I don't have any foundation on my face. We'll use the Tom Ford Eclat Nu. We'll use the Tom Ford new lipstick in Nudiste. I have two new lip pencils I want to talk about. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use just yet, but we'll see. And then I have something that is not new to the market, but it is new to me. And this is the Patrick Ta Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo. I have a ton of Patrick Ta, and I actually feel like he always does an amazing job with his formulas, even if the color story isn't necessarily what I love. So I have his bronzers and I have his blush duos, and I love them. But what I don't have is the specific one that he calls, and I'm like, this is what he has named it, the Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer. I have this in She's Statuesque. When I look at this, I see that it looks very similar to She's So LA, but it does look bronzier. So we'll take a look at it, and I'll show it to you next to She's So LA, so we can see. And so we'll get into that. But anyway, let's start with the Kosas, shall we? And then we'll get into the Dior. And I'm going to try to do this relatively rapid, so we can do some sort of mini, and we'll spend a little bit more time on comparisons with other products. So the Kosas Revealer Skin Improving Foundation, broad spectrum SPF of 25. It says medium coverage, daily dreamy finish. 1 fluid ounce. I have this in 140, which is considered a light neutral, light with a subtle pink undertone. I wish more companies did stuff like that, because I do feel like I have a pink undertone, but my undertone is subtle. It's pinker on my face because I have rosacea, so my undertones are pink, cool, but they're not as pink as they might look if you just looked at my face. When we're trying to match my neck, it's a little bit more leaning towards neutral. So I can do a neutral undertone or I can do a pink undertone, but what I don't see often is something that calls it a subtle pink undertone. So that's what I went with, and we're going to try it out today. It says it helps prevent sunburn, which is the SPF. If used as directed with other sun protection measures, decreases the risk of skin cancer and early signs of aging caused by the sun. That's the active ingredient, which is zinc oxide. It has 7.5% of the sunscreen. So just something to be aware of when you're doing this, when you're using this. The Dream Skin Revealed, alive, brighter, hydrated, visibly pumped, soothed, protected. Skincare powered by hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, which is vitamin B, peptide squalene, provitamin B5, arnica, caffeine, and artemisia flower? Artemisia flower. Okay. All right. Let's shake it. Shake it, shake it, shake it. I always shake bottles. I mean, foundations. I just shake them. It's now become, I just shake them. Whether I have to or not, I'm like, I'm going to shake it. You're probably looking at me and like, why are you wearing a sweater? It's actually cold. Yeah, it's April. It's chilly in New England. All right, so this is interesting. This shade is probably the right shade match. We'll blend it out in a minute. But it does have more of a neutral, I would say true neutral shade. Almost almond, like a beigey kind of shade, which is interesting. You don't see I don't see this kind of shade very often. So let's see what it does. I'm going to use a sponge today. I find with new foundations, I have the best luck with a sponge. If many of you out there have often wondered, like when you use a sponge, Why does your foundation look better? It's because the sponge takes up like half your foundation. So you get a lighter look. And most people, especially in my opinion, people with more mature skin, look better with a little less. It gives a seamless look because a sponge doesn't leave streak marks on your face of any kind. Even if a brush is really good, sometimes depending on the foundation, you can have streak marks. So this leaves sort of a seamless look. That's why sponges work really well. Puffs used to be used back in the day, similar kind of idea. But you know, you're gonna get less foundation with a sponge. You're gonna get the most foundation if you use your fingers. That's the way to get the most coverage, which is why when I use a tinted moisturizer, I usually use my hands. Also just because I think it's, you know, it's easy. Let's see if we can build it up a little bit through here. And what I like to do is kind of like with my fingers, which is why you get the most coverage, rub it in just a little, not all the way, but you know, enough to where it's kind of soaking in the skin a little bit. That's where I have most of my redness, around my nose and into my cheekbones. And I let it sit for just, you know, not even a minute really. So just let it sit and then I use the sponge again. So clean makeup for skincare freaks. That's the other thing that's on the side of this. Safe for sensitive skin, clinically tested, allergy tested, non-irritating, silicone-free, free of mineral oil, talc, fragrance, parabens, sulfates, and phthalates, which is all good. I mean, people, you know, you want clean skincare. Clean makeup. I get it. All right. Now, the test of a foundation, in my opinion, has a couple of steps. One, how does it apply? If you can't, on my skin, if you can't get it to apply well with the sponge, that is a problem, because I've pretty much almost all my foundations, I can get a decent look with a sponge. Sometimes I have foundations that don't look great with a brush. That does happen from time to time. And it's because my skin is dry and more mature, and sometimes a brush doesn't work. Usually now though, with the brushes that I have, it's gonna work if the foundation works for me. But if I use a sponge and it doesn't work, that's the first, it's like, wow, that's probably a problem. The second is how it works with other products as you put on your face. So in other words, as you put on your bronzer and your blush, and does it start to pill? Does it start to settle? Does it pick up? You know, like, does the other product pick it up? Sometimes it's the other product, it's not the foundation, but it's interesting to see the interaction. And then third, of course, is how does it wear throughout the day? How does your skin feel at 6 o'clock at night? How does it look at 6 o'clock at night when you're doing it at 7 o'clock in the morning for your day? So those are the types of steps throughout the day that I kind of consider as part of my test of the foundation. First test went on, it went really well. That went on my skin beautifully. It looks really nice. It's not accentuating anything. It looks beautiful. Went on really easily, blended out perfectly. I think this is the exact right shade for me. This is probably a better match for my skin than practically any foundation I've ever used. And I say that because although it's a little bit, it's not as cool as my face looked before I put it on. My face is a heck of a lot cooler than the rest of my body because of the rosacea. So my natural skin color is neutral pink leaning, not pink. And my face goes pink because of the rosacea. And so when I try to match it to my neck, this is actually an amazingly good match. And I actually think the right undertones and the right intensity. So I'm glad I picked the 140. This is actually perfect. So it's a neutral shade, but it has subtle pink, which is what I think I am. Which is why I think I have such a tough time with foundation, because I don't think I'm a true pink or a true neutral. You know, I'm in the middle, and this actually offers you that opportunity. So it's great when you can have a really wide spectrum of foundation choices, colors, shades, so that you can find your true match. And this one I think is really good, which is great. I love being able to find an actual real match for my skin. So that gets an A. The way that it went on, smoothly, beautifully, it feels light, feels nice. Again, do I think it's a dewy finish? Nope, it looks skin-like to me, at least at the moment. The back does say shake well, so I'm glad I did. And See anything else that I need to say? I've already said everything else. Oh, the time that it's, did I mention how long it had? I didn't. Okay, let's do that. 12 months once you open it. Yeah, I think that's it. It doesn't feel dewy to me. It feels skin-like. It looks skin-like. Brighter, hydrated, visibly plumped. Okay, it feels nice. Feels good. Doesn't feel tight. Doesn't feel dry. It doesn't feel tacky. Doesn't feel sticky. But it's not dewy. It's skin-like. I think you can see that. So let's get into the blush. This is the Tom Ford Soleil Sheer Cheek Duo, 0.15 ounces, 4.4 grams, and it is Eclat Nu 02. Made in New York. I'm sorry, made in Italy, distributed from New York. Nothing else that I can see. Comes in the white packaging, like that. Yeah, I'm just checking to see if there's anything different about it that I can see. No. Okay, so that's Eclat Nu. That's the new one. This is the one I already have, the Sheer Cheek, and this is in Lissum 05. This is Lissum. This is Eclat Nu. Eclat Nu says 02. These are not the shade and illuminates, and these are not the single blushes. The single blushes from Tom Ford, I think, are the most pigmented. Then would come the shade and illuminate, and I would say then would come these. So let's swatch the Eclat Nu really quickly. Show you that one. This is a sheer blush duo. So if you're looking for a sheer cheek duo, I should say, it's not necessarily blush, but if you're looking for something really, really pigmented, that's Eclat Nu. I'll show you the Lissum next to it. If you're looking for something really, really super pigmented, I think you'll be disappointed. That's Lissum, Eclat Nu. Lissum is pinker. This is like almost like a bright pink. This is like a beigey pink, but deeper one. Same thing with Eclat Nu, same pink slash beigey color. These are lighter. That's really the difference. This is not my favorite formula from Tom Ford, the sheers. I don't dislike them, but they're not my favorite. Of all the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate's my favorite. It's kind of a mid-level pigment, and I think the shades look beautiful on, and I really like the way they were done. The curation of the shades work really well for me, and I like the formula. I know some people liked the single blushes much, much more. They were more pigmented, so I get that. I'm going to go in with a classic cheek brush. I'm going to go into the more beigey shade. So that's personal preference. The way I use these, I'm going to show you, is almost like a contour. So I use the beigier shade, kind of like a contour shade, to sort of contour out and kind of lift my face. So like this. I always kind of bring it into my hairline a little bit. And I always use a cooler shade for that, a beigier shade, a slightly deeper shade when I do that. That style, and that's something that I've done for years, that I did back in the 80s, because back in the 80s we didn't have contour. It didn't exist. It wasn't a thing. Instead you use your blush to contour, and lots of people did, and it's something that I actually have always done. And if you probably noticed, I do this with my nose. What that does when I go like that is it basically picks up on the edge side of each side of my nose, and it kind of contours the part of my nose that's the widest to make it look a little thinner. I don't really spend time contouring my nose very often. Sometimes I'll do it, and I'll do it on camera for you guys to see, especially if I'm using a contour product. But most of the time I don't actually do it. So the way I do it is just with a little bit of blush on the top of my nose that just sort of thins it right through there. And that's about it. That's why I tend to do that. Then I take the top, the pinkier color, the brighter color, and I'll put that more as a pop of color, either right here on the apple of my cheek. It's not really apple. Apple would be here, but I don't tend to do that. But I kind of put it like a little bit higher, but like closer to that. Now, if I really want to emphasize the roundness of my face and make it look more like younger, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like almost like a anime kind of look, I'll put it right here, dead underneath my eyes, or I'll carve a little bit here and make this kind of a U, but I tend to do that with a contour, not really a blush. You've seen a lot of this on TikTok, and I've mentioned it before, people putting blush right under their eyes. You can put blush under your eyes. I've put blush in a way under my eyes by putting it here or here. What it does is it reacts to brown, so it cancels out brown shades. So if you have sun damage, it will help cancel out the sun damage. But also one of the things about putting pink, like pops of pink right here, and I'll just do a little bit of it, it's a youthful kind of thing, because when you're a kid, you get more like color in the apples of your cheeks like that. And so it's a look, it's an aesthetic. The fact that nothing is new is not surprising, and TikTok is just, frankly, redoing stuff that's already been done, because that look has been done. People, I might not have put like blush right here under their eye, but it's the same principle. You're putting it in this part of your face, one, to erase brown marks, skin damage, but also because pink, a lot of times it's like a bright pink, it's a brightening. And if you have deep circles under your eyes, you're taking away from that brightness. As I've said before though, pink cancels brown. Pink does not cancel yellow, and pink does not cancel purple, or blue. So it depends on what shade you're trying to correct for. Just please keep that in mind, because I don't want you to feel like, you're going into this and you're like, it's not working for me. That might be why. All right, so let's look at the Patrick Ta. This is the She's Statuesque. This is the light version of his contour and bronzer duo. It's like his other products where you've got the cream and then the powder. And to me, it seems, I'm just doing like one swatch, it seems that it's similar to his blushes. There's the contour, there's the bronzer formula, which I like. I like his contour bronzer. I like his blush contour. So let's take a little bit of his contour shade. Like I said, this is the light. I like to use my fingers for this. You can see how cool toned that is. It's very like mushroomy, very much going to hollow out that part. I'm using a small, this is an old Charlotte Tilbury brush actually, but I like this brush for like really detailed. I'm gonna really like push it in there, and then I'll go over it a little bit with the bronzer and soften it up. But what I'm trying to do is just make more of a tight line, and I'm gonna do a little bit of curve here. Okay, and then I'm gonna take it and put it down. This is what I meant by like, I don't often do this. If you're really gonna contour, I wouldn't even suggest using your finger. I would use a brush, and I would be very specific about what you're trying to contour, but if you're really trying to contour, I really don't. I do a little bit of it like I'm doing right now, but I kind of feel like my nose is my nose, and do I love my nose? No, but I don't hate it. And my style is more to emphasize the things that I do like, and just sort of not de-emphasize, but emphasize the things that I do like, and then I don't worry about the other stuff as much. So I don't actually try to make my nose look completely different or anything. You can, and I'm not against people doing that if that's what you like, but I generally don't do it. All right, so now we're gonna take the bronzer shade. I'm gonna use my trusty Tom Ford brush, as always, and we'll just go in and bronze up a little bit. And then I'll pull out the She's So LA, which I think is the closest blush to this shade, because I think She's Baked, and there's a couple other shades that aren't coming to me at the moment, but I think they're actually a little bit more pink. Remember that if you have your hair back like I do, you want to touch on your ears a little. You know, you don't have to, but it's going to be obvious that you have like tanner right here or bronzer right here, and then your ears are, if you're pale like me, it's going to be like very, very, very pale and then bronzer. So I kind of just go like that just to get a little, looks more, you know, looks more streamlined. Well, that blended beautifully. It's a very natural look for me. I think it's perfect for my skin tone. I'm glad I went with She's Statuesque, which is again the light. I think that's about right. I think that's the right shade. Let me pull out She's So LA so we can just look at it next to it. One thing I note just like immediately is that the shape is the exact same, except it's smaller. Here's the blush compact. Here's the bronzer contour compact, which is definitely larger. I'll get you sizes in a second. But this is She's So LA, and this is the bronzer contour in She's Statuesque. So let's take a look at the cream side of She's So LA. Now again, that's a blush. And here's She's Statuesque, which is a contour. Yeah, you can see this is definitely, in my opinion, like that's what a contour should look like. Cool toned, almost mushroomy when you're looking at my skin tone, you know, muted to be a contour. All right, here's the bronzer shade. Cool, a little bit cool toned, a little bit like Terra. I'm sorry, blush shade. A little bit cool toned, a little bit like Terra, even though this is a blush, because this is She's So LA. And here's the Statuesque bronzer. And actually the bronzer is lighter than the blush, which I guess makes a little bit of sense. The blush has more of it has more pink to it, where the bronzers, this one looks like a mushroom shade and the bronzer looks like a very light gold, but it does still have a cool undertone. All of them do, all 4 shades. So I'd say She's So LA is the closest thing to She's Statuesque, but She's Statuesque is definitely a lighter toned. It's cooler. So I don't know if it's cooler. It's not cooler in undertones, but it's definitely lighter in shade and has less pink in it. She's LA is definitely a brown toned blush, but as you can see, it's still more of a pinkish reddish tone than the contour bronzer is from Patrick. Okay, let's do lips and we'll do the Dior last. So, because I want to do the eye look last. So this is the Tom Ford Soleil. This is what was part of the Soleil collection that came out that we saw the Eclat Nu from. And it's an Ultra Shine lip color in Nudiste. Nudiste is 28. I think there were 5 or 6 shades. Not absolutely sure about that. But anyway, that is a Nudiste. To me, it seemed like the most brown leaning shade that they had, so that's why I picked it up. I'm not saying it's brown, because it's not, but it was the most neutral of the shades that I saw. All of them seemed a little deep, and to be honest, a lot of them seemed more like pinky reds, which I don't really like. So, Nudiste it was. So let's see how this looks. I'm not going to put any liner on with it or anything. We're going to leave it on while we move to the eye look, and then we'll see if we want to do a pencil or if we want to do something else, but we'll see how it wears. It's very comfortable feeling. Feels really nice on the lips. It's very shiny, which is not a surprise since it's called the Ultra Shine lip color. Yeah, it's very nice. Feels very comfortable. Very smooth, very comforting. I think I picked the sweater well because I think it's about right shade-wise. It's kind of like a brown burgundy kind of shade, and I actually think it looks good with skin tone. I think it looks a little naked without anything on my eyes, but I think it's a pretty shade. It's something I would wear. All right, so I'm gonna bring you in. I'm gonna wash my arm really quickly because I want to show you the Bayadere next to the Riviera in regards to swatches before we put the Bayadere on my eyes. Okay, we're back and you're a little bit closer to me. Hopefully that wasn't too jarring. All right, so let's take a look and let's pull up the pronunciation of this just so we have it.
Bayadere. Bayadere.
Bayadere. So that was close. Bayadere. Next to the Riviera. So looking at the two color stories, they do look similar. I'd say the Bayadere looks cooler, but it looks more like this lipstick in the sense cooler, almost with a little bit of red. We'll see how it translates to the eye, where the Riviera looked warm, very, very warm. It looks beautiful to me. I think that Dior did a really good job with this summer collection. It really does call out summer to me. I loved the lip oils. I'm using them all the time. The sheer, we're looking for lip balms, I think are beautiful. I liked that formula before, and I was very impressed with the Riviera. And so hopefully Bayadere is similar. And the lip inks, they're fine. I like them. It's not something that I'm going to reach for, guys, because it's just, they're not drying, but they're not moisturizing either. And if I'm going to put something on my lips, it's going to be moisturizing. So that's just me. Are they bad though? No, and they actually do like tint your lips. So if you're wearing a mask, I get it, totally makes sense. But I just don't, I would rather just have lip balm on and not have any shade to it, even if it's going to come off on a mask. That's just me. I have very dry lips. So that's a Bayadere. Stunning color story. This brown definitely has a cool tone. You can see it's actually similar to my lip shade. It's got almost like a purple to it. This is more of a bronze, coppery, gold, peach. Lots of shimmers, satin, and then the Bayadere, the brown shade is the matte in that one. All right, so let's look at Riviera in comparison. I did a Riviera eye look, and I will link it. In that review, I also have the lip tints, so you could see them, and all the other stuff. Today, I will also show you the one of the felt pens. We'll try it with this one because I have one that I think will work. It's called Satin Rust. I will tell you about the lip pens. The eyelid felt tip pens, I really like the formula and I like the way they work. The shade names are deceiving, in my opinion. Well, we'll talk about it. Let's get through the eye shades first, the eyeshadows first. The thing about the felt tip pens, and my friend Gita mentioned it when we were talking recently, it's not so much if they work at first, but do they work after repeated use? Like, can you keep using them over an eyeshadow? Or does the felt kind of dry down? That's really the key to it. So here is Bayadere, and here is Riviera. 5 shades in each. I think you can tell that Riviera is more gold, more peach. Bayadere is more cooler toned, deeper and cooler toned. These 3 shades alone in the Riviera are very bronzy, very coppery. I shouldn't say copper because copper has a cooler tone. Very bronze, very, very warm leaning. Over here, these are much cooler shades, especially the brown, the deep brown. So I think I chose well, at least that the lipstick is gonna match. I think that's a good match for what we're doing today. I thought it would be, but wasn't absolutely sure. So that actually worked out quite well. All right, so let's do, I think I did more of a, if I remember correctly, I think I did a more gradation kind of look where I kept the darkest shade out here on the edge for Riviera. So I'm going to do something different for this one. We're going to deepen this a little bit. So I'm going to go in with the deepest shade, that brown matte shade. This shade, like I said, it's brown, but honestly, it's going very purple on me. I do have a tendency to make shades go cool, which is why I absolutely know without a doubt that I am a cool toned person. People always ask because I don't think I show up that cool toned, but any shade you put on me, if it has a cool undertone, it immediately goes super cool. You're like, wow, okay, yeah. I'm pouncing. I'm using a Rose and Ben brush. I love her brushes. I think she did a really good job with her brush sets. I bought both the face and eye sets. And you can just pounce really well with these brushes. That's a technique that she uses a lot. She just literally pounces makeup on, and instead of like brushing, and that does work if you have the right brush. And she did a good job with her brushes because they work really well doing that. So what I'm doing is I'm now dispersing the shade, lightening it up a little bit, but I definitely am going to darken the entire shade by using the entire look by using this shade first, because I'm putting it all over the eye, even though it's concentrated on the contour, the transition. I'm actually diffusing it out over the entire eye, brushing it even on the lid, but I pounced it in the beginning and concentrated it in the crease. And so what I did is I created a base color for the eyelid, but I kept the deepest part of it on the outer side and in the transition part of the eye. So if you want to create a base for a look and you want to like deepen the look, use a deeper shade. You can do it with like a black shade if you really want something super deep. If you want to take like a very sparkly shade and have it be even more intensive, you put down something like a black or gray all over the eye and put that over it. It's going to be really intense. I'm not doing that, but I am intensifying the look purposely by putting down this cool shade first. I'm also making sure that it definitely goes cool because the shade I'm putting down first is very purple, purpley brown. All right, now we're gonna take an Angie Hot and Flashy. This is an A502 brush. And I'm gonna go into this shade here, this like lighter, so it's like a bronzy shade. Putting it on the outer half of the eye and into the crease. It's not gonna look as gold or bronze because I've got that purple brown underneath it. Then I'm going to take the shade here, this middle shade. I would say this is the most peachy of the shades. It's got like a gold peach shade to it. I'm going to put that in the inner half of the eye. I'm not going particularly deep, like I'm not putting a lot of pressure on the brush. Trying to meld it a little in the middle. Taking the lightest shade, the gold shade here, putting that up in the brow area. Lighten that up a little bit. And I'm going to use it on the inner corner as well. This design, by the way, the Riviera design with the little columns, it might even be called Bayadere design. It's available on the bronzers as well as the luminizers, and you can now get a compact with the foundation, the cushion foundation with this design on it. I do want to mention that the luminizers that I have, I believe are both pink. I'm going to use this coppery shade, bronzy shade, sorry. I did a video early on with what I thought was nude and pink, and it looks like Dior had a labeling error in the beginning, and so both of mine I believe to be pink. Even though there actually is a subtle difference between the two shades, I was saying this whole time, like, wow, it's just so subtle. Like, it looks like the same shade, except one is a little bit less impactful. I think what happened was, in the early stages, they put nude Riviera on top of the pink ones, and then the pink ones came out and they put pink. So I think I have two pink ones. I don't think I have nude Riviera. I don't think I'm going to buy it because I have seen other videos and it looks to me that it is more golden. I don't like a more golden highlighter anyway, or glow anyway, but it is very annoying that Dior did that in the first place. So just wanted you all to know about that one. So good to know that Dior's got good version control on their products. It's always helpful. All right, so I've used all the shades. That lighter brown bronzy shade I just put in the super edge here. I'm also going to use it on the lower lash line, just on the outside. Yeah, I was just like, because I kept saying, I was like, it looks so similar. There is a slight difference. Probably what happened is like one didn't get the right amount of pigment or something, but they're both pinkish shades, and I was just like, I don't understand this. And now I think we do understand, which is the fact that they mislabeled and they didn't have the nude ready yet or something. All right. So that is a Bayadere. I'm going to clean up the eye just a little bit because I have a little bit of fallout. There's nothing major, just a little bit under the eye. So it's a beautiful, beautiful color story. I think you can definitely tell though it's a little bit cooler. Well, it's actually a lot cooler than Riviera. And I think it's more intense because the shades in here are more intense. You've got a brown that is much deeper, just in the base, just in the matte shade that I use. Now I did purposely use it all over the eye to intensify the look from the beginning because I wanted a deeper look with this than I did with the Riviera. For some reason, this one calls out to me as being a deeper look. I don't know, just does for some reason. But I do think it is beautiful, and of the two, I don't really have a favorite. They're both beautiful. I think they both lend themselves to summer, but this one somehow calls a little bit more fall to me. Not sure why. So this is the liner. This is the Dior Show On Stage liner. These are felt tip pens. And this is Satin Rust. And I'm gonna show you, I don't see, I mean, I guess I see it as a rust color, but really, instead of looking particularly red, it looks purple. To me, it looks like the color of my sweater and the color of my lips, which is like a reddish purple, burgundy. So I don't really see this as a satin rust. I was hoping it would be more brown, rusty red orange, but it's not. It's more of a purple. I also have the Pearly Emerald, and the Pearly Emerald to me looks gray. I'm gonna use it. I'm just telling you. So if I were you and you were buying the felt tip pens because you really like felt tip, they do stay on. I've washed my hands repeatedly on a day where I was wearing them and it didn't come off until I scrubbed at it. So they definitely stay on. I just think the color names are weird. So I would check out Marae. I've linked her a bunch of times. I'd check out her Instagram to look at her swatches, or go in store if you can, because I think the shades are going to surprise you based on the names. So we're going to use this. My issue with the felt tips, I got to get close to the mirror here, is that I have really long lashes, and it's if I do this, I will get it in my lash. So I have to go in above my lashes to get a line that looks anything but, you know, wonky. And it's not the natural position for your hand to do this. Or at least it's not for mine. So I have, you know, issues with felt tip sometimes. I also try not to pull too hard on my eye when you use a felt tip because the line will be weird. All right, let's do the other side. So the issue that my friend Gita mentioned, that I mentioned a minute ago, is how well does the felt tip work after you've used it a couple times on shadow? Does the felt tip basically not work anymore because it's covered in shadow powder? And I've only used these a couple of times, so I can't tell you yet, but I will say thus far they've worked really well, and I haven't had a problem with them drying out after using them over powder. So at the moment, I would say I do recommend them. I do think they work really well over powder. They don't seem to dry out, and I did that real time from the time I was putting it on my eyes, so it didn't, you know, it dries really fast and it stays on. So if you're looking for something like that, I do think this works. I just think the shadow names are weird. So anyway, that's just me. You know, for the corresponding color, not just that the names are weird. So let me curl my lashes, put on a little bit of mascara, and then we'll talk about everything that we used today, and I'll mention a lip liner. Okay, mascara is on. So I would say I tried a new mascara today. This is the Dior Show Pump and Volume Mascara. This gives a lot of volume and a lot of coverage, but it is a prickly brush. So this is the brush. It's not my kind of brush, guys, because it's very prickly and I'm gonna poke myself in the eye with it. I would say this though, this thing, it gets every lash and it absolutely volumizes and pumps up your lashes. So if you're looking for something that's gonna get every lash and is gonna thicken them, and you want a really dramatic look, this is gonna give you a really dramatic look, and it did. But this is not something you can use, in my opinion, this is not something you can use quickly. You gotta be careful with it, at least if you're like me, because I would hurt myself. Yeah, like I said, I would hurt myself. Yeah, it says squeezable volume, extra, extra large, 24-hour volume intense ink lash care. The tube is squeezable here. You know, I'm not exactly sure why it's squeezable, but it's squeezable. I guess when you're holding it, I don't know, you can get stuff on the base of the brush or something. Yeah, there's no doubt that that is a dramatic mascara look. But it's got prickly brushes, which is how it picks everything up. Okay, like I am aware of that. But yeah, that's a dramatic look. So it does what it says, but it's not something I would ever use for a quick everyday makeup look, because I would try to do it quickly and I'd hit myself in the eye. But for a dramatic night out, that's pretty good. All right, so let me show you the two new lip liners. I just want to mention them. And then we'll just go over things really quickly. So first, I got a new Makeup by Mario lip pencil. I actually really like his lip pencils. The shade I want is Travis. It's been sold out for like forever, as far as I can tell. But he came up with a couple of new shades, and this one's called Toasty, and it looked right up my alley. It's a pinky brown. That's Toasty. It's just perfect. It's like the perfect pinky mauvey brown. You know I love that. So I had to get that one. I'm still waiting for Travis to come back in stock. And then the other one is a Givenchy Mocha Renversant 09. And I like the Givenchy pencils. They are drier. They're drier pencils. But that's 09. And the 09 I think looks very similar to the shades that I have on today. So we're going to go ahead and use it, just go over the lip look that I already have on from the Nudiste from Tom Ford. There we go. Yeah, it is a similar, it's a similar hue as the Nudiste. Let's take a look at it next to the actual liner. Nudiste 09 from Givenchy. So I think the shades all match up really well, even though these are, you know, different brands. Love the Nudiste color in the Tom Ford. I think it is a beautiful satiny glossy lip. It's a little deep for me for summer, but it's gonna be perfect for fall. It's a very fall look. The two liners, the Givenchy and the Makeup by Mario, are both beautiful shades, very different. The Makeup by Mario is much cooler mauve, almost brown. And it's softer texture. It has like more of like a creamy, waxy feel, whereas the Givenchy is more of a pencil. But I like the formula both for different reasons. The eye look, I think it's beautiful, guys. The Bayadere is a gorgeous one. The Riviera is too, but this is cooler leaning. Hopefully I will have linked to the Riviera look. The pens, the felted pens, I think they're working well. The color names and shades don't seem to match to me, but that's just my take. But they are working well. I'll just keep using them and see if they dry out, but they seem so far so good. The Eclat Nu, I think, is a beautiful blush for someone of my skin tone and paleness. the She's Statuesque contour and bronzer from Patrick Ta's. Perfect. Love the way it looks. The mascara from Dior, the new one, the Pump and Volume. If you're looking for something intense and dramatic, this is your mascara. And in regards to the Kosas Foundation, I think it looks pretty good, guys. I mean, you'll have to tell me, but it's wearing beautifully so far. It's been about an hour. It looks still really nice. It hasn't settled into the lines. It's not accentuating pores. Coverage is good. The color match is great. It's not drying so far. We'll see how it works out at the end of the day, but so far, no fails. So thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. Hope to see you in another video really soon. Bye.